Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Space Headlines. We do a quick weekly recap of what's going on in the space universe. And today we're going to be talking about the second week of September 2018. Our first item is Curiosity. Curiosity, of course, is NASA's rover that's hard at work on Mars. And one advantage that Curiosity has is the recent most capable rover is it's nuclear powered. So it's able to continue doing its work despite this dust storm, as opposed to the Opportunity rover that's been in the news, which has been really terribly impacted by a huge dust storm at Mars. And the reason for that is Opportunity is solar powered, and the dust storm has blocked the solar rays that are needed to make energy for the rover. So this is about the Curiosity rover. It's a 1-ton rover, and it's doing great work on Mars. Took some beautiful panorama pictures. SpaceX added again with a beautiful launch. The Falcon 9 was launched from Florida, carrying a communication satellite, and it made a beautiful landing at sea on one of the drone ships. The payload was Telestar 18, which is a communication satellite. I believe it's the second heaviest communication satellite ever launched. And this was the fourth flight of the Block 5 version of the Falcon 9 rocket, which is anticipated will be the final version of Falcon 9, and no more major upgrades will occur due to the planned shift to the BFR. We had a lot of visitors recently. At least a half a dozen different asteroids flew past Earth in a week period of time. And these varied in size from like a large building down to the size of a pickup truck. None of these presented a big danger to Earth, but it's interesting that the volume of visitation that we're getting. 6 came closer than the moon's distance to us, and a dozen came within 5 lunar distances to Earth. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but not something to be too worried about. The Orion capsule continues its development process. The news this time was about the parachute testing. There's a series of parachutes that are used by the Orion as it slows down prior to landing. You see, I apologize, somewhat blurry view of Orion in the distance with 3 parachutes. Anyhow, everything went smoothly with this test. This is thought to be the last test of the parachute system for Orion. And as part of this test, they took the thing up in a C-17 to a 6-mile altitude and pushed it out of the airplane, and it landed safely in Arizona. NASA is working on new technologies for Mars missions. And the idea here is, how can they make heat shields smaller and lighter and still get the job done? So NASA is working on a foldable heat shield concept, which obviously would be something that could be packed in a small fairing for the trip to Mars. It's sort of an umbrella-shaped thing, and this is part of the ADEPT project, which stands for Adaptable Deployable Entry Placement Technology. So envision something that opens up like an umbrella to provide the heat shield at the appropriate time, and otherwise it packs into a compact package. SpaceX made an interesting announcement, sort of a pre-announcement. They announced that they're going to have a press conference on September the 17th, and at that press conference, they're going to announce who is going to be the tourist who's going to fly around the moon on the BFR rocket. Now, people may recall SpaceX at one point made a similar kind of an announcement, not the name of the person, but the idea that someone was going to pay to ride on a Falcon Heavy around the moon. So it's, in some ways, it's not really a new big announcement, and they've already talked about this. What it means to me is that right now, SpaceX sees no showstoppers in the BFR development, or they wouldn't be saying this. So that's my take on it. In other sort of related news, Gwynne Shotwell was recently quoted is saying that she feels that in the future, carrying people is going to be a real big part of the SpaceX business model. So I thought that also was a very interesting statement. So stay tuned, be paying attention on September 17th. And I presume that there'll be a link on the SpaceX website to that press conference, but I don't know that I've seen that anywhere. I'm just sort of thinking that's probably the case. Lockheed Martin won a big contract, $7 billion. And this contract is to build some global positioning satellites. And it's for 22 of them. So obviously this is a big money game. The big difference here is this is an upgraded category of GPS satellite that's designed to be far more resistant to electronic tampering, jamming and hacking and other things that people might try to do to hinder or take down the United States GPS satellite system. This will be much harder for them to do now with this new design. This is part of what's called GPS 3F. Right now, the Air Force is running 77 satellites that provide the GPS services for a wide variety of uses. And thankfully, this is a fixed price contract. So hopefully things won't get out of control and they'll end up at the $7 billion level that we're talking about right now. That's it for our coverage of the second week of September 2018. Hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you in about a week, and we'll be talking about the third week of September. Take care.